Hello and welcome to the Gothic Unicorn. This week, this little fellow is celebrating because this week sees the first anniversary of the Gothic Unicorn YouTube channel. And as a result, today I'm going to be making a few celebratory minis. I want to start by saying a few things about my little Gothic Unicorn. Now, you'll probably recognise him from the profile picture and also from the little introductory section of the videos. Now, this is Draven. He's only recently got a name because he went a very long time being just the Gothic Unicorn. But some of my followers over on Facebook decided that this should be his name from a small selection that I gave them because I couldn't make up my mind. Now, Draven is made from silk clay, which is a form of air drying clay that dries, so it's still got a little bit of give in it. It's not completely hard, but it's not the stuff that stays really, really soft forever. Most of the colours are custom colours. I couldn't replicate them again if I wanted to. I just mixed together until I got enough sort of purpley shades. And he was made back when I was making items of home decor. The idea of making minis was far from my mind. And I was making a series of unicorns in bottles. Most of them were just sort of ordinary kind of cutesy unicorns that were much beloved of children. But I wanted one for myself and I wanted an alternative one, and I went with a Gothic Unicorn. And when I was looking for a name for my Facebook page, he was the inspiration. And again, obviously, for the YouTube channel, he's to blame. Now, pretty much since I've made him, he's lived in this little lantern. This was originally intended for a tea light, I think, and I picked it up from either a bargain shop or possibly even second-hand from a charity shop. But it made a nice little home for him. I put the little sign in the back so that everybody knew who he was. And then he's got a little rock in here that he sits on or falls off of, because to be fair, that's what he does most of the time. However, recently, as well as giving him a name, I decided that he needed a better habitat, and the lantern has got to go. Now, actually, his habitat is almost complete, and it will be featuring in an upcoming video. That video is a special little video that will go up once the channel hits 500 subscribers. Now, at the time that I'm filming this, we're getting close. I believe that this morning we were at 459, and so I better get that habitat and the video completed so that Draven's got somewhere to live. So if you'd like to see Draven's miniature world and you haven't yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and then you'll get to see it sooner. Now, let's get on with the minis. To make my cake, I am using craft foam. Now, this is the stuff that's sold mostly with children's craft materials, and this came in A5 size sheets. That's a full sheet there, and I've been cutting up the yellow one to make my cake. Now, I've cut it with a die and my die cutter. You could use a punch if you've got a punch that will cut the foam. Some of them will, some of them won't. But I've got these dies, so I decided I'd use them. Now, obviously, you could also do this with recycled food packaging, the paperboard, card, food packaging. But I got lots of this, and so I decided to use it. And what I did was I cut a number of circles. Now the die that I've chosen cuts a circle which is approximately 40 millimeters in diameter. Obviously this is a celebration cake, so generally they are bigger than sort of an ordinary cake that you might have, and I figured that was about the right kind of size that I wanted. Now what I actually did is I took 5 of these circles and I've glued them together to make my cake. This makes for a height that is about 8.5 millimeters high, and when I put it into perspective with my doll, my 1/12 scale doll, it looks like I might expect a celebration cake to look. You know, they tend to be bigger, so you can get lots of slices for everybody. So that is the basis of my cake. I am not intending for this cake to be cut, so I've just used some foam in a colour that I wouldn't normally use, hence the nice bright yellow. If you want to do a cake with a missing slice, you can use the foam, and there are tutorials available on YouTube for doing this. My Froggy Stuff has a great tutorial for doing a cake like this at 1/6 scale, and you can use the same technique for 1/12. You just obviously have to alter the size of everything. Now to decorate it, I wanted to go with quite a detailed topper, and so I've prepared a topper that will go on the top. Now before everybody thinks, oh, you did a very small drawing of a unicorn, I didn't. The actual original drawing of a unicorn is much bigger. I drew the unicorn, I coloured it, I scanned it into my computer, and then I was able to print it out at a suitable size to go on the top of the cake. Now I'm going to stick this piece on top of the foam, which will give me the actual top decoration. I'm not going to do anything else to the actual image then. I could put some details over it to make it look a bit more dimensional, but I'm going to make it look like one of those printed icing toppers. It's a bit of a cheat, I know, but hey-ho, it'll work. I am going to use puffy paint, 3D paint in other words, to decorate the sides of the cake. Now I've done this before, and if you do it right you can get a look that sort of looks like roughly applied icing. Now there are 2 ways of doing it. You can apply it directly, literally sort of squeezing the bottle and moving it around with the bottle as you go, and you get a sort of semi-textured look. Or you can use the technique that I use for gluing, which is a piece of card and a cocktail stick, and you can spread it on that way. Now it's going to take a while, so I'm going to do this off camera, but then I will show you what I've done. Now the puffy paint is dry. I didn't puff it. I didn't apply any heat. I just let it dry naturally, which means it's got a little 3-dimensional feel to it, which I think looks like that kind of rough look that you get on some cakes. Now I do need to touch up some of this with some white paint. I have put some white paint around the outside, but I need to put another coat on just to cover up all of the yellow. But what I also need to do is I need to add some decoration to the top. Now I'm going to add something around the edge to mimic icing, and I'm going to use some purple 3D paint, and I think that will give it a little lift. I have now added my purple, and I quite like my little celebratory cake. It's not the neatest icing in the world, but I've definitely been to events where I've seen worse cakes, so I think I'm happy with it. In order to display the cake, I have cut out of some thicker foil. This is actually a foil kitchen tray, a slightly larger circle to make a platter. Now I may, once I've glued the cake in place, put a little bit of something around the bottom to decorate it. I'm not sure at the moment, but it certainly looks like one of those big, the big display pieces that you get for displaying cakes at events. Now, a celebration is nothing without decorations, and given that I have made lots of different decorations for lots of different occasions over the past year, I wanted to try something different, and I decided to try and do something that would reflect fireworks. Now, this makes either a table decoration or a freestanding decoration, and it's actually really simple. The base, the bit at the bottom, is the lid off something. I'm not even sure what it was the lid off, but I found a lid and decided it would work. Into the lid I stuck some air dry clay that has since had a little bit of black paint put on the top to just disguise it. And then stuck into it are some strands of wire. Some of the wire I have just wound around a piece of doweling. I think it was a skewer actually, a bit of a skewer, just to make a nice twisty effect. And the other pieces have got beads stuck on. Well, I say stuck on, they're threaded on, aren't they? I have actually used a little bit of resin to keep the end ones in place, but you could do it with just a bit of glue. And there is something that I think sort of looks a bit fireworkish. In my search for alternative decorations, I decided I wanted to make something else that was quite large and imposing on a miniature scale. And so I have taken a die cut unicorn. This is actually two of the same die cut unicorn glued together to make it a little bit stiffer, because the black cardstock that I'm using is not very thick. And to just give it a bit more substance, I've used 2 layers that actually glued together yesterday so that it's nice and stuck today. And I'm going to stick that to a stand that I've made from part of a matchstick and one of the little wooden circles that I bought many moons ago. And all I've done is I've coloured them with a alcohol marker, just to make it look a little bit more gothic. And I'm going to stick my unicorn onto the stand. In addition to attaching the unicorn to the stand, I have added a little eye. I was going to use some, I've got some little gems, but I couldn't find them in the right colour. So I've used a little of this 3-dimensional paint to just give the impression. And now I've got another little decorative piece that I can use for my celebration of the channel. And here we have my little selection of celebratory items. My cake with its image of a Gothic unicorn, who is far less derpy than the real thing. My pot of alternative fireworks, and of course my little die cut unicorn. The unicorn could be replaced with anything else that you've got a die cut of to make a nice little decorative feature. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'd like to thank you again for supporting the channel over the last year. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing so that this little fellow will get his new home, and also like and comment on the videos, because we like seeing what you think. And until next time, bye.